Today we have got someone called Puja on this chat with us, and we're going to just talk you through, and she's going to share her insights into her journey with us over the last 6 months, what she's achieved, where she's got to, and some of the changes and things that she's been implementing now versus what she was doing then. So, without further ado, Pooja, hello, welcome.
Hi.
If you don't mind, just give us a slight introduction and a little bit of a background into you, who you are, what you do, and just, so we can get the listener or the viewer can get an idea for sort of what your life looks like.
Okay. So as Nick said, I'm Puja. I'm a GP, so a very, very, very busy lifestyle. There's times when I'm working on the weekends. Yeah, so just really busy trying to find time for myself. Sometimes can be a bit difficult because you're always like we were talking about at the beginning. You're always kind of giving to other people, and at times you just kind of forget to give to yourself. So yeah, and that's kind of what led me to Affinity in the first place. Yeah.
Excellent. Tell us how you found tell someone that's listening sort of how you found us because it's actually quite interesting. No one's ever said this has said it like how you have before. So like I found you via this, and I thought, oh
Yeah.
yeah, you know what, you must be legit sort of thing. So
Yeah, yeah.
share that. Like, how did that come about? Like, how did you?
So I think a couple of years ago, Nick's Instagram post came up on my feed, and he was talking about how because his like it's helping sort of people who are of Asian background that eat a lot of carbs, and that was the post that interested me the most because I was thinking along those lines, like, oh my God, I go home to my parents' house and all I do is eat carbs. I eat potato curry with chapatis, with rice and dal, all at the same time. And I knew that wasn't good for you. And so that post from Nick was something that made me follow his page. And then at that time, I had started doing the Couch to 5K running plan from the NHS apps. And
Yeah.
I'd been running in the local park. And I recognized Nick, who was there with his wife and kid, going for a walk. And so normally, I mean, I don't trust everything on Instagram. Sometimes you get people that are just, fake and just fake profiles and, but seeing the Instagram post and then matching it to a real life person made me think, oh, that's an actual person. They're real, they're legit. And then so then I was like, when I am looking for this, it's okay for me to reach out because it's a legit
Yeah.
company, a legit kind of program that I could probably do to help myself. And that's how I came about getting in touch with him. And then I think the final straw was that I was on holiday in Mallorca and I had eaten fries every single day, which I hadn't done for because my diet has been pretty good in the past, but I just had to get back in control. I'd fallen off the wagon really badly, and that just made me ring him from
I think
Mallorca.
that initial call in Mallorca. Yeah, you were
That's
there.
right, yeah.
I was like, "Are you sure? Like, we can wait until you're back." You're like, "No, I want to do this now." And then yeah,
No,
and we
it was
spoke, and then you're
yeah,
like, "Yeah, I'm ready to hit. Like, let's get started. Send me everything.
yeah.
We
It
can
was the
start."
day before I was coming back, and I was like, right, that's it. Or if I get off that plane, I'm not eating any more fries. I need help.
Awesome, awesome,
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you for sharing that. I guess a lot of people have those reservations, like who is this random person off the internet and things like that. So it's quite nice that
Mm.
you were able to see me in the local area and just put a name to a face and things like that, and sort of just see that we're legit and things like that. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I know you touched up on you know, the backstory of how you found Nick and stuff, but if you kind of go a bit more deep in, why did you want to make a change? Yes, holiday, food, and all those kind of things, but what was your like, that moment, light bulb moment when shit, you know what, I need to call Nick now. Like this is something needs to change.
Right.
Why it needs to change? What was that?
So the thing that clicked in a major way was just before I went on holiday, I'd spoken to a patient, and that patient was booked in to talk to me about mood problems, depression, feeling down, that kind of thing. But when I was talking to that patient on the phone, I took a bit of time to kind of see why they were down. What was because sometimes people can have mood issues not simply because they're just feeling down. It's sometimes they've got pain. So I said, have you got pain or something? Is that what's made you feel down? And he said, no, it's not that. It's just my legs can't carry me anymore. And I was like, what do you mean by that? Well, it's like all I do is stay in the house the whole time. And I can just about go to the garden. And 5 minutes later, I have to come back because my legs just don't carry me. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, are you in pain? That's why your legs don't carry me? It's like, no, they're just so weak. They just don't carry me. And I was just like, right. So this patient is now depressed because they can't leave the house to socialize and have a fulfilled life of, seeing their friends and family and meeting them because they have weakness in their legs. And as we age, our muscles will deteriorate. They will lose strength. So unless you use it, you lose it, as they say. And so his legs had become weaker and weaker. There's nothing actually wrong with him, but he barely used his muscles, and so they'd weakened. And then because they'd weakened, he couldn't do anything. And then I realized that actually this is the kind of stuff we need to prevent. Like that man was a 70-year-old, fully otherwise fit and well. He's just his muscles had deteriorated. And so that made me think that actually I need to future proof myself as well. And the thing is, I see this day in, day out, like 50 patients a day is what I see. And out of all of that, the biggest problem that I notice is lifestyle problems. So all the diseases that there are out there is not because of your genes. Well, not I mean, I can't say all, but you know what I mean. Like majority of the things I see in my medical practice is diabetes, high blood pressure, overweight, knee pain because you're overweight. Like this other patient who couldn't move, couldn't carry themselves. It's called sarcopenia, where you've got loss of muscle mass, things like that. And so, and then correlating that with my family history of heart disease, diabetes, hypertension, obesity, I was like, I'm not going to be part of that ever.
Right.
So, and then because and then I was just like, eventually that this has to stop. I have to change my routine,
Yeah.
my lifestyle. And even though I did do a little bit of it, I wasn't optimizing all of that prior to Affinity.
Yeah. For me, one of the big things was something similar to that. It was like I was working in pharmacy, right? And of course, we give like sort of sometimes similar advice in terms of lifestyle and things like that. Maybe not the extent that you guys do as doctors and stuff, but there is. And I felt almost like contradictory. Like I'm giving this advice out to people and telling them to live a healthier lifestyle, but yeah, I'm not looking after myself. So that's
Mm.
like one of the reasons why as well. I don't know if you guys ever feel like that as well, like
Yeah.
GPs and doctors and stuff, but it's like I want to like lead by my own example, essentially.
That's right. And I think when because you're regurgitating that all the time, every single day, it kind of makes you, it becomes a part of who you, like your mental conversations. And so because you're saying that constantly, you kind of have to act on it. Like eventually a thought
Yeah.
does come into action. And those are the thoughts that are going through your mind daily. So then it becomes action eventually. And yeah, and so that's why I kind of ended up reaching out. And actually, sometimes I suggest it to my patients as well. They'll be like, they'll come in and they'll say, like, oh, I've done everything and I still can't lose weight. And I'm like, have you thought about a health coach? Like, you know, yeah.
Um, I was gonna say, okay, so that's like the longevity side of things and stuff like that, and lovely, like thinking about the future and stuff. On the surface level, was it like a vanity thing as well? Like, was there something short term that you wanted to achieve as well? Like, was there something like that that you wanted, or was it purely based on the longevity side of
No,
things?
no, of course, I want to look great in my clothes, and of course, like I want to just put anything on, and I like and be okay with it, and not think about, oh my God, I feel all lumpy here, and I've got my stomach sticking out, and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, one part of it is the longevity aspect of it, and just overall health and strength and all of this. But yeah, I want to look great too.
Good, good, awesome, awesome.
Yeah,
And you did right. I think I know obviously the program's finished and stuff, but from where you started to where you finished at, you did really, really well.
yeah.
And I remember, obviously, as you touched on it as well right now, that as a GP, your day is manic, like you're seeing patient after patient. With that in mind, what would a normal typical day look like before Affinity in terms of from waking up, meals, gym, workout? I know you're doing training on the side and stuff, but how did that all fit in before you joined us?
So before I joined Affinity, I used to just do running. I used to try and do running sort of twice a week minimum. I did used to go for a lot walks, but I didn't try and achieve like the same kind of minimum steps. It'd be like 20 minutes here and there. It wasn't structured in any way. I was intentional about the walk, but it just wasn't. I wasn't doing enough
Okay.
of it. I did no strength training whatsoever. I actually didn't enjoy going to the gym either. I used to find, the people when you go to the gym that the bit where it's just the men that carry super heavy weights to the extent that you can't even move those weights out the way so you can use the machine. So I used to find it really intimidating because I was like, oh, I can't lift that, or just things like that. Yeah, I just couldn't lift weights. But since I've been doing Affinity, that has been great. Like I even today, like I was really proud of myself. Like normally when I started off, I was like 18 kg for leg press, and today I was at 27. So like I can feel. So since Affinity, I have been obviously doing the weight training. So prior to Affinity, my day would be sort of get up at 6, get ready for work. I have to be at work by sort of 7:30, try and catch up on all like the lab results and all of this kind of stuff. Then start clinic starts at 8 o'clock. By the time you finish, there's no time for lunch. You have to eat whilst you're doing things on the computer. So often it's just a really quick grab of any kind of food. There's a small local Morrison's nearby where I would just grab anything, cheese sandwiches. It comes with a meal deal where you've got crisps and chocolates and all of this kind of stuff. And work can be so stressful that like at Christmas time, patients give you presents and stuff, like so there's like chocolates in the staff kitchen. So the way you deal with that adrenaline rush that's going through your body is you go for chocolates, and that's what I would normally grab. And one while I was doing Affinity, there was one time where there was a kid that came in who potentially had meningitis. So that was super scary. When it's something like that, you have to act really quickly. You have to give them an injection of antibiotic. And this child had learning difficulties. So it was hard giving him the injection in the first place because it wouldn't stay still. Obviously, I had to get another doctor involved. So it was proper rushed. And the adrenaline rush that was going through me at that point, after I finished that, I think I messaged Vinay to say, I desperately just want a chocolate right now. Like, I just need that sugar to calm me down. And I think Vinay messaged back to say, you could do this. You don't have to reach for the chocolate, which I didn't. And that day I was really proud. So yeah, things like that happen a lot. And that's typically what happens in my day. Like there's no time really to even eat or even think about what you're actually going to eat. Like you just grab what there is. But obviously through like Affinity, I've been planning. I actually should have bought it with me. I should have shown you my weekly planner, which I'm still doing despite finishing the program. So yeah, so things like that would be my day. Yeah.
Okay, so very like quick, fast paced, on the go, no time to really think about what the next maneuver is. When it
No,
is time to eat, it's like quickly get it in you, or you're quickly nipping into the staff room, picking a few biscuits or chocolates, and then back into your office sort of thing. And then that's how you
that's right.
do it. Cool. And then when the day is over, let's say sort of it finishes what I'm guessing like 7 p.m., you're back home. What would
Yeah.
then dinner and the evening routine look
So
like?
so then I would be starving because my lunch would have been at 12:30. But at that point, I'm going, and then obviously then it's clinics and stuff. So by the time I get home, it's what been 6 hours or something since I've last eaten. And so I am starving by the end of it. And once again, it would be just like I just either go to my parents' house because I haven't got any food at home because I haven't had time to grocery shop or prep, and I'd eat the carbs and just stuff myself until I feel better, or just like stick a pizza in the oven, like it's like quick food, things that don't take ages. You can just stick that in the oven, go for a shower. By the time you're out, it's ready. So things like that, I would do. I did used to try and go for a walk, actually, like an intentional 30-minute walk. But I wasn't doing quite the number of steps that I am doing now. If I didn't do that, because I didn't do that regularly either, because there'd be days where I'm like, oh my God, I'm so knackered. I can't be bothered with this. So then it'd be Netflix. And just sit there until like scrolling, and then it's bedtime and you go to sleep and the whole thing starts again. Yeah.
Okay, so that was like the day in the life before, and that's very, very normal. I speak to
Yeah.
pretty, I'd say like 90% of people probably live that way.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
it's like wake up, you get going, and then it's just like you're just making the decisions there and then. What's different now? Like, how have you, I guess to some extent, like slowed the pace down essentially? Like, how have you managed to slow the pace down to then sort of make these pockets of time for yourself and things like that? Like, what does your day look like now?
So I still do my walk, but it's just a bit longer in the evenings. I take a lunch most days with me. Like majority of the time, I plan into my like say today's my day off. So today I after this podcast, my plan is to meal prep for the next 3 days because I have no days off now from, for the next 3 days to do anything. So all my meals will have to be prepped. And so I made time for meal prepping and to grocery shop as well. I have to allocate time to go and get the groceries that I'm going to need. Even if I am having something quick, like say on a Thursday, I'll be having something quick, but I still have to have stuff at home to be able to have that. So yeah, I'm planning a bit more. I have like a magnetic weekly planner on my fridge that help that so then my meals are written down so that I'm not constantly my mind isn't occupied with what am I going to eat next, and then planning that takes a lot of effort. Like I rate all the mums out there who like I remember when I was a kid, like my mom would be like, "Oh, what do you want to eat today?" And I'm like, "Oh, anything's fine." And then she makes something, and we'll be like, "Actually, we don't want this. We want something else." And she's like, "Yeah, but I asked you." And then when you have to do it for yourself, you're like, actually, it's such a hassle trying to decide every day what you're going to eat. Like and so yeah, that's such a faff. But I like the meal planning because then it's all out of my head onto the magnetic planner, and then that way I just look at the fridge and know what I'm eating that day. So mental space is created because of it. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a faff in the moment, but in hindsight, it's not because you're there, you're prepped, you now know what you're doing for the rest of the week.
Yeah. No, as in, when you what I mean is if you've planned it, then it's not a faff. So
Yeah.
like if I'm doing it as we're going along, so like say if I'm doing, oh, what am I gonna have for lunch today? Oh, what am I gonna,
Oh,
like
yes.
as your day's going on, there's no
Yeah,
mental
yeah.
Like that.
space.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You
Yeah.
don't want to do it like that. You want to have it
No.
anytime, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas on Sunday, I sat down 30 minutes, like just planned what I'm having, went shopping, got all the stuff. I've got everything for the week now.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so meal deals have now turned into meal preps. You're
Yeah.
no longer coming home eating like sofa
Junk.
food,
Pizzas.
and you're going for longer walks and things as well in the evening. So where's that energy change come from? Where's it gone from like where you were once like, oh my God, I just want to crash out on the sofa and watch Netflix to actually, no, you know what? I'm gonna go out and get my evening walk in. Like, what's the mental switch that went there or the switch that went off where it's like, no, I need to start going out and doing this?
Well, I think it's doing all of this for the last 6 months with like yourself and Vinay, isn't it? Because like like there was times when I'd be like, oh my God, I really can't be bothered, and then Vinay would message like, oh crap, I better get this done because I've got to tell him that I've done it. and then I think over time, like you build a habit, don't you? And then now it's quite easy to just be like, right, had your dinner, let's go for a walk, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think I
Because I
think it's
remember,
a habit that's formed.
It is. It's
because I
definitely.
remember as well one time, I think you were not well, and then
Yes.
you did tell you like, I'm not well, can't be asked, I don't want to eat. And I think I just messaged you and I'm like, just make something. And then I think you ended up making salad for that day and like the next 3 days.
Yeah, yeah. I
It's
just
just
cut veggies.
you're lying around your sofa. Yes, you're not feeling well. You wasn't dying or you couldn't do something. It's just you like had a cough, cold, but you could get up and just do that one salad instead of making one. You're like, you know what, I'm here now. I might as well like just make
I think once you
the
start.
weeks, right? Once you
Yeah.
start it, and I
The
think that
hardest
changed
bit
for
is
you.
really just getting up out of the sofa and making and going to
Yeah.
the or
That's right. Because when you're not doing it, everything feels overwhelming. It feels like, oh, I've got a lot to do. I've got to do this and then do that, then do this, then do that. And I think when you've got that push and somebody says, just do it, and then you just do it. And actually, it didn't take that long at all. Because when Vinay messaged me, I got up and literally within 10 minutes, I'd cut all the veggies.
Hmm.
I'd say
Yeah.
that's
And the same
another
thing with the gym, right?
reservation
You,
that people have, right? So one of their big reservations is like the time. Just because you brought it up, it's like, will I have enough time to do a program like this? And I think it's just because maybe social media portrays things as being a lot more daunting than it is, or it's going to require like this next level amount of dedication and grit and things like that. Like How much time, I don't know if you can even quantify in your head, has it given to sort of just like the basic planning and prepping side of things? Like, of course, you go out for your walks and you train and stuff like that, and that's a few hours a week. But in terms of like the time that it's actually taken, has it been a big friction to your life?
No, it hasn't actually. It's not a huge friction because it's all still integrated. It's not like I'm going, it's not, yeah, like if I go for a walk, I literally leave the house and go around the streets that I'm living on. It's not like I'm making a special effort to drive to some special place and park the car, and there's none of that extra things. It's just you literally put your trainers on and go out for a walk. And even like the meal preps, like the planning, it's, I sit there with my magnetic planner for the fridge, and you just like look 15 minutes, and you've come up with. Because the thing is, on what you guys talk about with the Fitness Pal, with this the simple, easy,
Yeah,
repeatable meals, is it? Yeah,
this is
and
that's it.
yeah, yeah, and so because I've already, at the beginning when we started the program, you guys told me to like come up with that the meals, those 10 meals or whatever it was, and then I've got that entered already into my Fitness Pal. So then I just have to literally go on that, pick the meal that I fancy, and then write it down on my planner and then enter it. Like you just click on the MyFitnessPal thing. So that doesn't take that long. It was that's what made that was quite easy to do. And then the gym thing, yes, that's probably the only thing. But actually, so on some days when I couldn't actually, because my gym is about 15-minute drive, and sometimes if there's traffic on the way, and I have something really quick later on, Vinay just gave me a plan for home workout. So then technically I didn't really not work out because I just did it at home. So then because there was that mixture. So then yeah, yes, going to the gym takes a bit of time, but then at the end of the day, if I haven't got that time, that 20 minutes to drive, then 20 minutes, that's 40 minutes of my time to of driving. I just did it at home, which was a 20-minute workout anyway. So yeah, there was all these kind of adjustments. So I feel like it just kind of integrates within your life anyway. And it is, ultimately you're going to have to give a little bit of time. Like you have to make a little bit of time to, you're kind of investing in yourself, aren't you? You invest
Yeah,
money into something, you get it back. You invest into your body, you get it back. So there's a really good quote I once saw: unless you make time for your health, you're gonna have to make time for your illnesses. So
Yeah.
I'd rather make time for this a little bit. It's not a massive time change, it's a little bit of
yeah.
time. At least then I'm not making time later on to do physio and have tablets and do this and do that. Yeah.
Anytime you get injured or you're sick, what's the first thought that goes through anyone's head is like, I'd do anything to get back to being better again, right? Like you do anything to
Yeah.
again. So
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think you nailed it on there when I know you've struggled as well. I think I can say this openly to say that you've had hard moments in that 6 months. There's been days you're like, when I get messaged, I'm like, I cannot be asked that there's not happening.
Yeah.
And when you get that moment, what have you done? Yes, while in the program, you reached out to us. What do you do now
Yeah.
when you're like lacking that motivation? Say, you know what? I can't be asked now. I can't be asked to do
Yeah.
anything. What do you do then?
Yes, I definitely have those moments. It's those days where I've literally given my everything and I have nothing left to give sometimes. And so those times you just think, "Oh, I really can't be bothered to do anything today. Just need to rest or whatever." But so yeah, at that time in during Affinity, I obviously had Vinay to message, and then he'd encourage me and whatever. Now what I've done, so since leaving Affinity, I've had a couple of those days, but I have a A4 sheet of paper with my whys written on there. So why do I want to do this? Why do I want to be healthy? Why do I want to create these habits of healthy living? All of these kind of things, and I've written that down. So and actually I see it every morning. So I'm starting my day off knowing why I'm doing what I'm doing, so that my goal is clear. And so that's what motivates me now.
Okay, so it's like insight in front of mind, that type of thing. Like you're constantly reminded of why you're doing this every morning when you wake up, even if
Yeah,
that does cross your mind, like I don't want to go to the gym or whatever, you're staring you right in the face.
that's right. Yeah, yeah,
Um, being a lady that's never trained in the gym, just again, this very interesting point that you brought up, and I think you're one of the first females to bring this up as well that we spoke with, is that gym intimidation. How have you gone from this female that was a little bit intimidated in the gym by the men not really strength trained before, you sort of dabbled in a bit of cardio and things like that, to now actually following a strength-based program. Like, how did that transition look like? How have you dealt with it? And what are some like mental things that you overcame to get there?
Okay, so yeah, that was really intimidating because everybody else in the gym lifts way heavier than I do, and especially when I first started, I was like probably carrying 3 kilos or even less than that. And I think that comparison where you're like, oh my God, they're carrying way more than I am. And I was just kind of like, I think I tried to just remind myself that it's different, isn't it? I'm a female. I don't have as much testosterone as men do, and so they're obviously going to carry heavier than I am. And I think it was just kind of, looking at each of those fears and then coming up with something in my head to kind of counteract that. And then actually, like, I don't go to that part of the gym where I can't lift that level of weights, but like the other weights on the other side of the gym, they're more appropriate for me at this stage. I mean, I'm sure I one day will progress to such heavy weights one day, but I then was just like, actually, this bit feels comfortable. So then I just did what was comfortable
Anyway,
for me.
into like a little quiet area where you're sort of comfortable and stuff like that, and you just
Yeah.
get on.
Yeah, and then after that, I was kind of moving along to the different machines and stuff. And I think the training program you guys gave me made it easier too, because first it was the machines, wasn't it? We kind of did the
Yeah.
machines first before we moved to the free weights. And so it's like, oh yeah, well I can do these weights. And then when you move to the free weights, you're like, oh, okay, now you're a bit more comfortable and able to lift. And so it was a slow, like step by step, take one step at a time kind of process rather than, oh yeah, go straight in there with the big weights.
Awesome. I think that's a big reservation of most females. It's just,
Mm.
will I fit in that weight section? Don't really like it. It's intimidating. But yeah, you made a great transition over into it. So yeah, well done. And now, how often do you train and how often do you strength train and things like that?
So minimum I do is twice a week. Maximum is 3 times a week. Yeah, so like say all of last week I did three. This week I've got planned to do three. So between 2 and 3. I still don't overdo it, and I like the fact that it's not just all about constant going to the gym either. Like it kind of fits into my life now. Um, yeah, so and then obviously I'll go for a walk every day. And I've gotten better at, say, even when I'm feeling unwell, like say yesterday I had a migraine. But once the migraine was at a lower intensity, I went for a walk. Even if it was like a 30-minute walk. So, I am walking every day.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's really good. Just to kind of almost finish up on the questions and stuff. What would you say if you had to give someone 3 tips to say, you know what, someone who's either starting out, either with us, any other fitness journey, or on the edge of saying, you know what, I need to make this change, or someone who's lacking some motivation to say, I need to make a change in life. What 3 pieces of advice would you give them to say, you know what, this is what you need to do to kind of get into it?
Yeah. So I think that would depend on why they're feeling like they're not able to make the change. But my motivation, my thing that made me change was that I needed someone to be accountable to. And so I think, like, one of the tips would be to get yourself a coach if that's what you need. Because I think you can be like, you get a lot of advice. People say stuff like, oh, tell your family, or tell your brother or your sister or your friends or whatever. But at the end of the day, they'll be like, oh, it's okay, don't worry, you didn't do it today. And actually, well, that's not good enough. So I think if you are struggling with something, and it's worth just getting a coach. I mean, I think someone once told me that Tiger Woods at one point in his career had like 30, 40 different coaches for different aspects of his technique.
Wow.
And so yes, and I thought that was really interesting. Like, even the best of the best have to have a coach. And I'm not saying you have to have a coach to do well or whatever, but that's one of the things that I mean, that's what I ended up doing, because I know how to eat well and whatever. I just needed someone to be accountable to. And then the other thing is, I think you have to just do it. Like, get your ass off the sofa and get on with it. Like, and there's no easy way out in a world where we kind of are looking for quick gratification, instant, Manjaro, Ozempic injections to try and lose weight. Well, even those things, if you stop using them, you're going to put the weight back on. Ultimately, it requires a lifestyle change to make a change to your body. And so you have to put the hard work in as well. Like, don't be so afraid of it. Like that'd be one of my tips, is like ultimately you say you want to do it, then just do it. And if you're going to do it, be prepared to work hard. Nothing in life is for free, and this is also the same thing. It's not going to just be like we're going to wake up one day and be skinny and look great in a dress, like yeah.
I love that. That's so true. I think there's only so many hacks and words of motivation that you can give. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
ultimately is one of those is going to be like you just have to wake up and just do it and get on with it. There are going to be days where you don't feel like it, but those are the days that count. So yeah.
Yeah,
That's what you said. That was you touched upon it. I get a lot of parents who say, "Oh, I'll die for my kids." I'm like, that's not what we want. We want you to live longer for them, right?
that's right.
The mindset, like they just come, "Oh yeah, I'll do anything for them." Like, just start with doing it for you, because
Yeah,
then you can be there longer for them, right? So it's just, as you say, you
that's
start. You have
true.
to
you're
start
no
it.
you're no good if you're dead.
Awesome. Thank you so much for answering our questions, Pooja. Hopefully it didn't feel like too much of an interrogation.
No, no, it was great. Always
You
great
shared
talking
you
to
shared
you.
some really good insights and things like that. Guys, if you like this episode, please feel free to drop us a message and let us know. And thank you for listening.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.